Let's learn how to do some basic video editing in Canva. While in Canva, I'm going to go to Video. And once I'm in Canva, in this video section, you can see that there are some templates that you can choose from to use a certain format. Today, I'm going to make my own. So I'm going to go over here to the left side and choose Uploads, and then Upload Files. And I'm looking for the file that I want to edit. When you do this, you need to make sure you know where you have your file saved. While I have selected that, you can see that it is loading. So this little bar here at the bottom is filling up with Canva's colors. Also over to the left, the upload button is filling up. And as it gets closer to the top, that means it's getting closer to being edited. While that's finishing, let's talk about some things that we're seeing here on our screen. Across the top here are some options. There's an undo, there's a redo, showing that things are saving to the cloud. That's one nice thing about Canva is it saves automatically as you're working. Across the top over here towards the right side, there's a spot that says Untitled Design Video. I'm going to click here, and this is where I can name my file. So while I'm waiting for my video to load so I can edit it, I'm going to go ahead and type the name of it here. So I'm going to call this Practice Basic Editing. Next to that is my picture. Since I have my picture connected with my Canva account, it's showing up here. Yours may just be your initials. And then if somebody else were added to this project, their initials or their picture would show up here as well. It's just me. I'm not going to share it with anybody, so that's good. Over there, there's some insights. We don't need to worry about that. And then it lets me play my video to test it out. And then I can share it, but I'm not ready to share it yet. When I'm looking across this middle section here where I have the space to work, this workspace area, you can change the background color. You can change the length or adjust the timing. We'll worry about that later. You can adjust the positioning. And then we have our workspace. This is where our video is going to show up for us to edit. Over here on the right side, there's a little button where you can add a comment if you wanted to. And this is really nice if you're collaborating with others. There's a button down here in the bottom right. If I hover over that, this is the Canva Assistant. So if I need some help, I can click on that and it should help me. And then down at the bottom of my screen, I have the place to play my video to see where we're at so far. You can see this space ready for me to drop a video in here to edit. And then I can add some other pages and things as I work. We're getting close to this being ready. And so I'm going to watch. Yes, it just finished. Once I know that my video is ready, I can go ahead and click on it and it should drop it in here for me. Or you can click on it and drag it over where you want it to go. Let's practice editing a video. And there's my video. So it's starting to play automatically, and I have the control right here to go ahead and pause that. And let's go ahead and get some of these settings set straight away. Now, before I start making too many adjustments for cutting out the part that I don't want to hear, trimming things up, making some splices and things, I like to go ahead and edit the video file itself here so that the sizing is consistent, the placement is consistent all the way throughout the whole video. So if I wanted to crop this to cut out, maybe I want this to be a square instead of this horizontal layout like it is, I could go ahead and click on the file here before I make any changes to the storyboard. I can click up here on crop, and then I can crop this size to be whatever I wanted it to be. So I can go ahead and do that if I wanted to. I don't want to do that, but I could if I wanted to, and I would do that now so that it's the same going all the way across. I'm going to adjust the size of this so that it fills up the full space. I don't need a background to be there. If I did want the background to be there, I could change over here on the left side. There's space to change the background. So I could choose different background color or something else to go in there. And that would, change that up for me if I wanted to find an actual picture to put in there. To me right now, I don't need that to be there. So I'm going to turn off any background that I just put in. I want just the video, and I'm just going to fill the space with the video. I also, instead of stretching this out, I can right click on my picture or on my video, and I can choose from the drop down set video as background, and it'll go ahead and fill in the whole space for me. And that's a very quick way to get that done. Now, when you're editing, I'm going to give you a few basic ideas of things that you're going to be able to do. First of all, if you know that you need to take away some of the content here because it's just not good or you don't need that part, we have a couple of different options. You can trim up your video down here on the left side, or sorry, down here on the bottom. If I were to trim up this video, I would grab onto either the left or the right side of a clip. And you'll see when I do that, I get this double-sided arrow that pulls up, and I can drag it over to adjust or trim that clip. Now, if I need to take something out from the middle of my video, right now, if I drag over, you can see this is all just one big video piece. I can add splices or splits in my video, and I'll show you that here in just a moment. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play and then listen to it for just a moment and then decide how I want to make this edit. Let's practice editing a video. For this video, if anything doesn't sound quite right, we're going to trim it up. In this video, if something doesn't sound quite right, we're going to work with the track and we're going to trim up any parts that need to be trimmed. We're going to split and splice and delete any parts that need to be deleted. We're going to add text to the screen and we're going to add graphics to the screen as well. And this will be good practice for us. Okay, I paused there. So within that pause, I know that it's a good time to go ahead and make a splice. And as I hold on to this bar that's going across the way, I can kind of find a spot where I'm not making a strange face. And this is a tip I would give you. And I'm not perfect at this. I am a self-taught editor, and I'm still very new at the process. But one thing I do notice as I do my edits is I need to watch how my face is when I stop talking. So here in this position, as soon as I stop talking, my eyes kind of droop a little bit and it looks kind of silly. I'm still looking at the camera, which is nice. And then as I I'm holding down my left mouse button and dragging this over so I can kind of see where we're at. Right here, I'm about to start talking again. And at this point, my eyes are closed. So I'm going to try to move that to a spot where I'm making the least of my worst faces, if I can say it that way. And I can split this clip now into two, because this was kind of an intro. I'm not ready to delete anything yet, but I know that I took a pause here, so I'm going to go ahead and split this up. And you can do this by following this little bar, putting it where you want your split to go. And then you can right click on this area and hit split page. And it shows you next to that the shortcut is an S. So if you don't want to have to do that, I can put my cursor where I want it to go and then just hit the S key on my computer and it'll split it. And so now I have two different clips to this down here. And that gives me some space to work with. So now I can work with this part and I can work with this part. I'm going to go ahead and continue on before I delete anything and see where we're at. Go ahead and trim up everything that I already said. So I'm wanting to have a trim up here. So I just did a split. And a trim is where you take your cursor to the left side, like I mentioned earlier, and you can drag it over. So right now my cursor's right here. I gave myself kind of a neutral face. And I can hold down my left mouse button and I can trim up that clip to where it's at that point. I also said to trim up all of this, so I can go ahead and delete this first part if I want to. Now, since I've already split this section and it's its own clip, I don't need to trim it from the left or the right and make it shorter that way. I can just activate it by clicking on it and I see this purple border going around. And now I can hit the delete key or I can right click and choose delete. And now it should be gone. If you're on a Mac, it would be your backspace key. So now I'm going to put my cursor back over here at the beginning and see where we're at. Okay, so I've had quite a moment of me just staring at the camera here for a second or two. which is a little bit awkward. So I'm going to pause it here. And I'm going to bring my cursor over here to the left side, and I'm just going to hold down my left mouse button and kind of trim it so that it lines up now with that bar that's showing up to cut out that extra awkward pause that I have there as I'm waiting to say the next thing. There was still more of a pause there, so I'm going to go ahead and trim this up just a little bit more before I see my mouth starting to move. And I'm trying to find a spot where I'm not making a weird face. It's just sometimes hard. Welcome to our practice editing video. My name is Miss Whipple, and you should see my name showing up on the screen right now. I want the font to be such that it's easy to read, and I want to make sure it's up there long enough for the audience to be able to read it. At this point now, when I'm ready for my name to go away, I would have spliced that section and then deleted it from the next part so that the next part can be fresh. Okay, so in this video, I'm teaching how to do this. So I'm giving some planned pauses in there. So I just said that I wanted my name to show up on the screen. And I'm going to show you how I can do that and make it show up at a certain spot. Now, I could go ahead and put my name on here now, and it'll just show up on the screen as the video starts. That's not the effect that I want, so I'm going to go ahead and hit play again. Welcome to our practice editing video. My name is... So right here, I'm starting to tell my name. And so I'm going to pause the video where this bar is right here. I don't care for the expression that's on my face. It doesn't bother me that I'm in the middle of saying a word, because I'm not going to cut anything around this to where this is where it's starting. I just want to go ahead and put a split here. So I'm going to hit S again, where my cursor is right there. And then now I want my name to show up as I'm saying my name. So I'm going to go back over here to the left and find where it says text. And if at any point these features that I'm talking about are not showing up for you, all you need to do is click on the part that says apps. And then you should be able to search for Canva apps. Some of these show up in here. The ones that you use more often are likely showing up over here on the left for you. So what you use may not be the same as what I use, or you may just be new to using Canva. So it's a little bit different as far as what's showing up for you. But I'm going to go ahead and hit text, and then I'm going to add a text box, and it's going to put a text box here on my screen. And it's going to start wherever my cursor is, where this bar is down here, which is why I split this part away. And then I have my cursor at the beginning of this one. I don't want my name showing up across my face, so I'm going to drag it down. Now, this works very similar. If you're used to using computers at all, this is similar in the way that you might see in Word or PowerPoint or some of these others. As far as it being a text box, that means that there's text in there. When you click in the box, you can double click to delete the text that's there from Canva. And then across the top of our page up here, we can see the fonts that we can choose. We can change some of the settings here. And then there are some other things that we can set. To move this box, you'll notice that as I click on it, there's this button that has this arrow that goes up and down and then from left to right. If I click on that, I can drag it where I want it to go. I'm going to put my name over here to the left side of my screen just for the sake of having somewhere to put it. I'm going to grab onto that text so it deletes itself while I type in my name. And then I'm going to type in my name. Now, right now it's hard to see, so I need to make some adjustments there. So I'm going to grab onto that again. And I just clicked in here. I double clicked with my left mouse button to select the text. You can highlight the text in there. And then up at the top, I'm going to click on this drop down. It'll give me all kinds of fonts to use. Now, the ones that are showing up here are for my brand kit because I'm doing this for my company. And you'll see that we have some of those set. There are some others that are in here that I've used recently that are showing up. And then there are all kinds of ones that maybe I've never actually used before. Whenever you're choosing a font, you want it to be something that is easy for your audience to read. I don't plan on my name being up there for very long, so I definitely don't want it to be something that they have to really pay attention to closely, with it being a difficult font to read. And sometimes I have the hardest time committing to a font. I don't know about anybody else. Now, as you're choosing a font, they have different styles that you can choose from if you're looking for a handwritten look. They have corporate, display, headings, paragraph. You can type in a certain style. To me, this one's a little bit difficult to read. It's also kind of small, so I'm going to make this bigger so I can see what it looks like. Oh, this one's fun. I think I'll use this one. And then you can adjust the size of it. Now, the other thing is you want to check the color of it. So right now, if I click off of this, it's just black and it's hard to see. So I'm going to grab onto that again and then come over here to the color. And this is the one where you have the big letter A with kind of the rainbow effect underneath it. If you click on that, it lets you choose your colors. Now, to me, it's still a little bit difficult because it's such a dark space on my screen right now. So I'm going to grab onto this again, grab onto the text. And then up here, you have this effects option. So I'm going to click on effects. And there's one that gives a background. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And it should give me a background for the text that I have there. And I can adjust how this looks. So right now, the roundness has round corners. I can change it to where it has more square corner or make it really round, however I want that to be. I'm going to adjust that a little bit. I can adjust the spread of this to where maybe it's bigger or smaller. I don't need it to be quite so large. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust that a little bit more. You can adjust the transparency for this. I want it to be visible. That's the whole point of it. So I don't want to remove all of the transparency there. And then you can change the color, and you would want something to contrast with the font that you're using so your font shows up. And then you also want it to contrast with your background. Now this font is very thin. So for me, some of these colors are looking a little bit strange with this. It's just making it hard to actually read the text. This one with this bright blue and that purple is very hard on the eyes. I think this one makes it pretty easy to see. I'm going to click off and see. I don't know that I love it though. I'm going to make it bold and see what I think. If I adjust the size of this text box, you'll notice that it adjusts that shape as well because it's all connected. And I think I'm okay with this for now, just for a practice video. I think it's okay. So I'm going to come back over and move the cursor, move that black bar back over to the very beginning and see what happens. Welcome to our practice editing video. My name is Miss Whipple, and you should see my name showing up on the screen right now. I want the font to be such that it's easy to read, and I want to make sure it's up there long enough for the audience to be able to read it. At this point now, when I'm ready, okay, after I say read it, I'm going to go ahead and put another split right there. Read it. Okay, my shortcut was S, so I'm going to hit the S key. And then now on here, I have my name on this clip, but I want to take my name off of this clip. So I'm going to select this big long clip here at the end, and then I'm going to select my name and I'm going to delete it. And that way my name should disappear. So now I'm going to go back through, and I don't necessarily need to go through the whole thing again. So I'm going to go editing video. My name is Miss Whipple, and you should see my name showing up on the screen right now. I want the font to be such that it's easy to read, and I want to make sure it's up there long enough for the audience to be able to read it. At this point now, when I'm ready for my name to go away, I would have spliced that section and then deleted it from the next part so that the next part can be fresh. Okay, I paused again and I can see I'm about to talk again, so I'm going to hit pause. Over here on the left side, I'm going to trim this part up. And then I like to take the border back over here just a little bit so I can get a second or so as it moves to the next one, just to see if the flow is
to read it.
okay.
Now in this next section, I'm going to have trimmed up that little bit, that gap of space where I pause, ready to go on to the next part. And if you haven't taken that out, go ahead and trim from this spot here and go ahead and cut out the little bit from where I talked about my name. Or the spot where I talked about my name. No, the spot after I talked about my name until the spot right here. This is all a great part to take out. And this is where we talked about if you need to talk to your editor, if you make some mistakes, whatever, you don't have to stop the camera each time. You can give those notations, whether it's to yourself as the editor, which is what's going to happen for this class, or for somebody else that you're sending it to or whatever. So everything that we've said from now until back when after I explained where my name was going to go ahead and trim this part out or splice this part out and then cut it out.
Okay, so I'm going to hit S to take that out, and all of that mess that I just talked through, I'm going to click on that whole clip, make sure it's active, and I can see that it's active with that purple bar. I'm going to hit the delete key on my keyboard, and now that's all gone. So if I click over here just a little bit more to go back for just a couple seconds.
Now that my name has disappeared, we're going to play around with adding some graphics. So let's say that I want to show graphics up here on my screen. We're going to practice doing that now. So we're going to go ahead and splice where we're at, and we're going to add some graphics here. Let's add a graphic at this part. If I can get my hand in the screen. I'm not really good at that. Cut that part out. The angle is not working well for me to be able to fit my hand in there. So let's do it this way. Go ahead and splice it here. And let's add a graphic so that it shows.
Okay, so I made some mistakes there, which is great. Not a problem. Whenever you're editing a video, or if you're recording a video that you know that's going to be edited, you don't have to stop and start a new recording every time. Just keep on going, and then you can cut those pieces out. So I'm going to hit an S right there. And I, again, am going to delete all of that big chunk. So my name goes away.
And let's add a graphic so that it shows up right here.
So we want a graphic to show up right there. And we want this to be done in a way that is very similar to how we did the name. So I'm going to go back just a little bit. And once I point my finger, I'm going to go ahead and hit S for a slice. And then at this point now, I want to insert a graphic. So I'm going to make sure that this bar is positioned after the clip right before I raise up my finger. And then over here on the left, to insert a graphic, I'm going to go over to Elements. And then I can search for whatever graphic I want here. Since we're editing a video, I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. So let's do video editing. And I like the graphics, so I'm going to click on the graphics section. And then I can scroll through, and I'm looking for a couple because I know that I'm going to have 2 of these. I want to find a couple that look similar to each other so I have an idea of where I'm headed. I'm going to click on like.
So that it shows up right here. That it shows up right here.
Okay, I think I like it better if I did a split and waited until I said shows up right here for my clip to show, or for my graphic to show. So I'm going to, or I just added a split there. I spliced it, and then I clicked onto the shorter clip, deleted the graphic, but the graphic is still showing up right here. So let's just see where we're at now.
And let's add a graphic so that it shows up right here. Let's add another graphic so that it shows up trim that out. Or
Okay, so we want that part gone.
let's add another graphic so that it shows up. Trim that out or cut that out. Let's add another graphic.
Okay, so I start off with let's add another graphic. So I'm going to come back to this part,
so that it,
and then I want to find where I started saying let's add a graphic.
let's add
Okay, so right before that. Okay, so I'm going to hit S.
Let's add another graphic so that it shows up. Trim that out or cut that out. Let's add right here. Let's add another graphic so that it ends up right here.
Okay, so I'm going to hit split.
Here.
If you look down here, I have this teeny tiny little clip, so I can get this to line up when I raise up my finger like that. But it's not going to show up on this other part. So let's see what happens then. Because the graphic's going to go away, it only knows to stay on the clip. Well, since this clip has been separated on the right side, it's not going to stay over here. So let's see.
Another graphic so that it ends up right here. Let's add another graphic so that it ends up right here.
Okay, so I ended up saying that again. So I'm going to go ahead and hit split right there. This one then I did not need. And then here, I'm going to put my cursor again so that it's touching this clip. These two graphics aren't exactly the same, but we're just going to go with it. Now let's see.
That it shows up right here. Let's add another graphic so that it ends up right here. Let's add another graphic so that it ends up right here.
Okay, now this one.
Right here. Let's add another graphic.
So this part needs to be deleted. So you need to go back through and just listen, make sure you're taking out all the things. And I will also say, I know it sounds a little choppy right now. This is one of the downfalls to Canva, in my opinion, is that sometimes when you're editing, it's not very smooth down here, but when you watch the video later, then it's fine. So we'll check it later and see where we're at.
So that it shows up right here. Let's add another graphic so that it ends up right here. Now that our is up right here. Let's add another graphic so that it ends up right here. That it shows up right here. Let's add another graphic so that it ends up right here. Now that our graphics came on, we're going to make them go away.
Okay, within all that, you heard that there were some sounds with my microphone. I hit the table right there. So I'm going to trim up that spot. I wasn't talking anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and hit S. And then I'm going to hit S again right here. And I'm pretty sure that's where the sound was. The sound is on this clip. And you can use the audio track. Again, we're doing basic editing right now, so I'm not going to mess around with the audio track for this part. So this should work. Let's add another graphic so that it ends up right here. Now that our graphics came on, we're going to make them go away. So we're going to trim up this area so that after we had our graphics show, they're now ready to go away. So we're going to do another splice. We're going to trim these sections up so that it's pretty smooth. And then we're going to move on to the next section. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit an S right there. I'm going to go back to where I was starting to talk about this. Now that our graphics came on, we're going to make them go away. So to make them go away. Okay. Not the best look, but it's fine. All right, I'm going to click that big clip. So I took that part out of there. Now that our graphics came on, we're going to make them go away. As we wrap this up, we're going to make them go away. And we're going to make them go away. As we wrap this up, let's go ahead and put our contact information at the end. What if we want somebody to contact us when we get to the end of our recording? This would be a great place to have maybe your phone number, email. All right. In the clip, we said that we were going to make them go away. So now on this last little bit, I just need to click on the graphic, make sure that I'm on the correct spot. Click on the graphic there. Click on the graphic here. Hit the little trash can or hit the delete key. Now it should be gone. We're going to make them go away. As we wrap this up, let's go ahead and put our contact information at the end. What if we want somebody to contact us when we get to the end of our recording? This would be a great place to have maybe your phone number, email address would be great on here, maybe a website to show up. And so we're going to do that here. Let's go ahead and trim up this little bit where I'm talking just to the camera as an activity we're going to be doing together in class. And then let me wrap up this video. As we end our video, I'm going to give our contact. Cut that out. Okay, so I'm going to split that and then delete that bigger clip that was there where I was just kind of talking through some things. Let's see. We're going to make them go away. As I end this video, I'm going to give my contact information on the screen. Again, I want it to be clear. I want it to be up there long enough for. Try that again. As we end our video, I'm going to have my contact information show up on the screen. I think it would be really nice for the font and the style to be similar to what I did at the beginning. So I could go back and copy and paste that over and then just change the context. Or there's a lot of uh-ohs going on here, and that's normal to happen when you're recording. We just cut it all out. Let's try it one more time. Now that our graphics came on, we're going to make them go away. As I wrap up my video, I'm going to add my contact information to the screen. Now, as I add the contact information, it's going to be just like how I did the name. I just put a split there where I want the contact information to come. And I'm actually going to scroll back over to where I had my name. And I'm going to click on that. and then hit Control C to copy, or right click and choose copy. And then I'm going to come back over to the section where I'm talking about all this. So I'm going to put the bar right there and then click on the section, hit Control V. Okay, so I got that on there, and let's go check it out.
My contact information to the screen. For the sake of this one, I'll make it my email address. The format for my email that I just had on there should match the content that I had on that previous part. Cut this section out though. For the sake of this one, I'll make it my email address. The format for my email that I just had on there should match the content that I had on that previous part. Cut this section out though. Thank you for following along in our editing process today. Our editing process.
Now, if you make a mistake along the way and cut out the wrong part of the clip, or you trim up too much or not enough, you can always undo. Control Z or Command Z on your keyboard should work. And then up here at the top, there are undo and redo options for you to be able to use.
Thank you for following along in our editing process today.
Now, I don't like that my voice went up there.
When I'll make it my email address. Thank you for.
So I'm going to go ahead and stop it at this part. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this one so that it at least sounds like it's finished, just for sake of
my email address.
Just for sake of this. Now, I'm going to be making this as a YouTube video, and to do that, I'm going to add in some of the music that I have set for the videos that we do. So if I come back to my main Canva page, you will see that I have a project saved for our YouTube video setup. So here's my template for my YouTube video setup, and if I click on that, it opens up another screen. And you see that I have the thumbnail picture that I use. You'll see that I have this next part that I use. You'll see that I have the ending slide. And then you'll also see that I have the next videos for YouTube. So when you're watching this video, you'll see that I have added that to the video that I will be editing, showing you how to do all of this stuff. It's quite the process. In the meantime, though, let me show you how to add some music to this. So right now, this is a short little thing. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see that this is 41 seconds long. So we trimmed that up pretty short. To add music, you're going to put that bar wherever you want your music to start. So I'm going to put it at the beginning. And then over here, I can click on audio. And now, depending on the version that you have of Canva, you may not have access to a whole lot of the options that I'm showing you here as far as the graphics and the music and things. But I have a fully paid version, so I have access to all of these. When I find a song that I want, I'm going to click on it and hold down my left mouse button and drag it over and place it underneath the video. And you can see that this new track shows up. And when I let go, now it's purple. And if you end up with another one, it'll change colors. Now if I hit play,
Welcome to our practice editing video.
I noticed that the audio, the music, is so much louder than my speaking voice. And I can make some adjustments to the audio. So when I select the audio, up here across the top, you see audio effects. And I can have this fade in and out. So I'm going to go ahead and fade this in so that it starts off a little bit softer and then fade out to where it gets a little bit softer at the end. You can click on adjust. And then beat sync is something new that it'll sync the music to the rest of your video. And I will say, I really thought I liked this feature. After I go through and edit my clips to be just right, if I turn on this sync now feature, it adjusts the clips that I edited, and then it sounds like I didn't do a very good job editing. And that one has burned me now a couple of times. So I don't think I'll be using this anymore, at least until I see that that stops. But the main one that we want to go to is over here on the speaker. And you can change the volume, and this is just for the music. So I don't want the music to overpower my voice. So I'm going to adjust the music volume. I might try 20, and you can actually type it in the box there. And let's see now how that is.
Welcome to our practice editing video. My name is Miss Whipple, and you should see my name showing up on the screen right now. I want the font to be such that it's easy to read, and I want to make sure it's up there long enough for the audience to be able to read it. And let's add a graphic so that it shows up right here. Ends up right here. Let's add another graphic so that it...
Okay, right now my video is glitching, and this is one of those things I was talking about where I don't love this with Canva. And sometimes it's actually okay. And so you spend time going back and trying to fix it, and then you find out that it's really mutilated now because you've been adjusting it. So up here across the top, next to the share button, there is a button so I can play it. I'm going to go ahead and try this one and just see if this makes a difference.
Welcome to our practice editing video. It's Miss Whipple, and you should see my name showing up on the screen right now. I want the font to be such that it's easy to read, and I want to make sure it's up there long enough for the audience to be able to read it. And let's add a graphic so that it shows up right here. Let's add another graphic so that it ends up right here. Now that our graphics came on, we're going to make them go away. As I wrap up my video, I'm going to add my contact information to the screen. For the sake of this one, I'll make it my email address.
Okay, it's not perfect, and it's still glitching a little bit. I think the volume was still a little bit high, so I'm going to lower that just a tad. If you make it too quiet, it almost sounds like it's a mistake that it's there. So I think that should be fine. Once you have your video and you're ready to go with it, you're going to go ahead and click share and then download. You can post it straight to your social media account if you want to. I'm going to download this file as an MP4 video and then choose download. Okay, our video has downloaded. Let's see.
Welcome to our practice editing video. My name is Miss Whipple, and you should see my name showing up on the screen right now. I want the font to be such that it's easy to read, and I want to make sure it's up there long enough for the audience to be able to read it. And let's add a graphic so that it shows up right here. Let's add another graphic so that it ends up right here. Now that our graphics came on, we're going to make them go away. As I wrap up my video, I'm going to add my contact information to the screen. For the sake of this one, I'll make it my email address.
All right, I think it was pretty good. There were a couple of things that we could go back in and edit a little bit better, but I think for a first time editing project, I think that this was hopefully for you a success. I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope it taught you a couple of things. And you can take this and definitely build on it to get better and better and better. I am not perfect at this, but I think it's a lot of fun to go through the process and to be able to apply more and more features as we go along. If this was a help for you, I appreciate any shares that you would give to your friends and family. And as always, be sure to like and subscribe.